Hi gang, Jeff McAleer again, and today I'm taking a look at Rebel Raiders on the High Seas, the American Civil War at Sea and on the Mississippi from GMT Games. Designed by Mark G. McLaughlin and developed by Fred Schachter. I've already taken a look at Iron and Oak, which is a tactical level war game of the American Civil War, and it's a naval game, pitting the Confederates against the Union. Rebel Raiders on the High Seas is more of a strategic game. So let's flip this over. We'll take a quick peek at the back of the box. And as we can see, the game map is broken up not only into sea areas, but also land areas too, and it looks point to point. And what you're looking to do is, if you're the Union player, of course, you're looking to cut off and blockade the rebels, as well as take control of various different points, probably mainly focusing on the Mississippi, so you could split the Confederacy in two, as it was historically. This is actually a low complexity two-player game, and it is rated fairly highly for solitaire suitability. So let's take a look to see what's inside Rebel Raiders on the High Seas. You see we've got 8 six-sided dice. Got 2 decks of cards. One for the Confederates, one for the Union. Little markers. Not sure what those might be for. And then it looks like we've got little stands, little stand-ups. I wonder if the generals and admirals have their own counters that you would stand up. Of course, there's a little note from GMT and the baggies that we always have. Plus, there's another edition of one of those quick little games, and we saw this in Iron and Oak. It's the Siege of Rhodes. So you just cut these little counters out. We've got the rule book. So let's take a look to see what we've got in here. Going through the introduction. Oh, looks like we've got a lot of illustration in here. Always love to see plenty of illustration in my rule books. Going over movements, command markers, raiding, blockade running, naval combats, amphibious assaults, invading Kentucky. Oh, there's a unique Kentucky space. Confederate supply and building, Union building, and how you win victory. 24 pages in all, and it looks like we've got a quick check table on the back of the rules. Got a player aid card. Looks like a single one, showing the sequence of play, assault resolution, and another quick check chart on the back here too. We've got the counters. Looks like we've got 2 counter sheets. Let's take a closer look. So it looks like we've got some various markers for cargo, showing Union control, maybe cannon from the forts. There's the Union generals and the Confederate General Joe Johnston. There we go. Now we've got the admirals. They must be the ones who get the little stands. Hey, there's Lee, Longstreet, and Jackson. And victory point, turn marker. These are dual-sided. Then the second counter sheet. Looks like these are all the units. So looks like we've got all the Confederate ships. Then the Union ships, and of course, because they are Rebel Raiders on the high seas, there's going to be a lot of shipping targets for the Confederates, no doubt. And then, of course, we've got the Union combatants as well. So I don't notice any And of course we've got two-sided. But as I was going to say, I don't notice any infantry or cavalry. So I would take a wild stab that the actual land combat is going to be very, very abstract. And we've got the map. Another GMT playbook at the bottom of the box. We'll move that over for right now. And this is a paper map. It's like a pretty good size. And it's going to break down both the ocean areas as well as the various different land areas as well. So that's one side of it. And the other side. And it looks as if the Confederates sit at the bottom edge and the Union sits at the top edge. And there's a turn marker as well. So, pretty good size map. And let's take a look at the playbook itself. And I say it time and time again, I love the GMT playbooks because they give you so much background on the game itself in different scenarios and all the historical info as well as how to play the game depending on what side you're on and so on and so forth. So we'll take a look through here. There's rules for an advanced game. Looks like some optional rules as well. Starting the game in 1862. And design and historical notes. Looks like a pretty good example of play here, and then there's an extended example of play. Once again, loads of illustration here. Oh, this is going on quite a bit. There we go. That's a really good extended example of play, obviously. That's another thing. I always like the examples of play because you get to read through that and then you see how all the rules kind of tie together, and it really helps turn the light bulb on a lot of times after reading through the rule book. Then it's a breakdown of the different card text as well. That's going to be on the two decks of cards. There's even a section here to link Rebel Raiders with Iron and Oak. How cool is that? Pretty nice. So that's the playbook. Let's take a look at the cards that are included in the game. So we have two decks. We've got the Union as well as the Confederates. And just kind of taking a look at these cards here, it looks as if that these are kind of action cards, that they're not going to be the kind of cards like in a card-driven war game where you have the operations points that you can use or to be able to utilize the event. So I'm not exactly sure how these cards will be utilized, but it's kind of cool. They're showing all the different Confederate ships, historical events. Pretty cool. So we've got the Confederate deck, and obviously the Union deck will be very similar. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. There you have it. That's another thing I always like about, and it's not just GMT that makes card-driven games. Victory Point games, a lot of their, especially their States of Siege games, are all driven by event cards and so on and so forth. But I always like games that have cards in it because not only it adds the chaos, and every game's always going to be a little bit different, but there's always a lot of just additional historic flavor, and not even just historical games. They just add an extra touch to the game. So I'm always a big fan. So we've got all the various different Union cards too. So there you have it. That's what's in the box for Rebel Raiders on the High Seas from GMT Games. Of course, I'll have a review of the title in the very near future. Once again, this is Jeff McAleer, and thanks so much for watching. And until next time, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in genre news and reviews. Until then, have a good one.